Celebrate you. Celebrate you. That's all I wanna do. Oh, yeah. Celebrate you. What's going on, AGR family? Thank you so much for joining today. I am glad to be back with you all here on Live at Lunch with AJ. Man, so much has happened since our last gathering, but I appreciate every person who takes the time to hang out with me for lunch. So I hope that you guys have your lunch. I hope that you are ready to dialogue. I hope that you guys are ready to meet our special guest for today. I'm excited about the show. I need you all to do me a huge favor and please share this live video. Please share the live video. We've been having great success with engaging during our lunch break. And it's been meaningful. Like I said, I come on when we have things to do. We have something to talk about. And today, I want to take the opportunity to really share. On my timeline, I've been seeing a disturbing photo of an officer with his knee in the right, laying pinned down a black man who we know is to be George Floyd. And I want to make sure, George Floyd. And it's been obviously a disturbing photo, and the photo just really speaks to so much of what we're in and where we are today. So I just wanted to have a dialogue with our amazing viewers and our AGR family, both here in Baltimore and beyond, just to give you an opportunity to share just for a few your thoughts. George Floyd was later first arrested. You can see the officer has his knee in his neck. And then later you hear that he died shortly later in the hospital. Another death at the hands of those who serve us, who are supposed to serve us, who are supposed to and are paid by our tax dollars to protect us, to protect and serve communities. So I heard it was some kind of phone call that was made that he matched description. He was sitting on the car, and then they apprehended him and then pinned him to the floor. And so here we are, another situation. Now, the officers have been fired. As I understand, there were 4 officers involved in Minneapolis. They have been fired. And so here we are. These types of issues are still with us in 2020. And so I wanted to have a dialogue just in terms of first and foremost, how this all makes us feel. How does it make you feel when you watch it? I'm talking about those who are believers. I'm talking about our faith community. I'm talking about even those who just simply have an opinion about seeing something like that. And how do you process it? Let me take a moment to dispel some things that so many people say when there are moments like this, where we are all up in arms, where we're angry, where we are really disappointed in the behaviors that we see. Again, video footage, photos, and everything seems to be at hand. Thank you so much, Sister Tiff. I really do appreciate you. I want you to share. Good brother, Jay, Lippy Mac Addict. Thank you for joining in the discussion. So many times you hear things like people say, well, why do we get so up in arms when we see things like this? But when it is that we hear about all of the deaths that are happening on black crimes, why aren't those things addressed? Why is it that we're not so upset and angry about what's happening in our own communities, but when we see a white police officer or 2 white men with a shotgun outnumber a young black runner, why do we seem to process a different emotion? And I want to say to those who feel that way, you are sorely mistaken. It is a life is a life, and we value life. People value life, whether it means it's for an unjust cause and or for senseless killings. They all process the same, and the way we go about those things are the very same. Let me address it here, because this is a time and a moment where we need to really take time to have discussion to really think about and gauge where we are when we see things like this. In the past, I think it's been now, 3 or 4 months, even throughout the pandemic, we've seen some unrest things happen. We're seeing some things escalate in terms of outright actions of racism right before our eyes. We're seeing a lot of things that are happening that we are claiming it to be unjust, but things aren't getting done until somebody starts to use their voice, their platform. It goes viral. And here we are now where things are happening only because we can see what's happening. I'm afraid to share what about the things that we don't see? The climate of our country, of where we are, and the things that are happening right while we are home, watching Zooms, praying, encouraging people. People are still living a reality that we only get a glimpse of because somebody had a video that then became public. At some point, we have to recognize that our voices have to be louder than what we see. We have to. And I'm talking to my faith community. I'm sorry. This is the community that I'm a part of. These are the people that we go to church with. These are people that we talk to on a normal basis. We having all kind of discussions and conversations. But when these things happen, we seem to have laryngitis, or we seem to not be able to place ourselves to understand what it is that we need to address or to spend time with or to pray about. I'm going somewhere. When do we, as a collective voice, all faiths, all people, take the time, take a moment to really share our displeasure and do something, put to action? Even if it wasn't my son, my brother, my uncle, that looked like somebody's dad, looked like somebody's brother, somebody's cousin. And people are having to respond because we see it. But when we don't see it, what do we do? And so I want to challenge and charge our faith community that if we say we have all of the power, we having discussions and arguments about opening up the church, about what time and when and how we should disregard whoever is supposed to be leading our country when he decides to open up congregations for us to fellowship. Growing concern of the pandemic and how it opens up to impact the African-American community when at large, our health conditions, our preconditions that really subject us to being impacted the most, where there is no sensitivity to the life of those who are poor and those who are oppressed and those who are not in a position to live in a castle, and day after day they can choose and pick which quarter they want to live in for the day. But here in the communities where we're living and those and families and communities where we are a community, we are by nature connected to one another, where you can't go but so far. It impacts us the most. And what do we do? Well, family, this afternoon, for our live at lunch, I want us to be intentional about sharing how we feel via social media. Here, you can put comments up here on the screen. We need to be intentional about how this impacts you. What if this was your son? What if this was your uncle, your dad, and a video and or picture is circulating about an officer unduly having his knee pinned in the into his neck while he's screaming, "I can't breathe." And if I can't breathe is not something new. It's something that we've been hearing from Black men being strangled, and practices by officers that are quote unquote illegal to use in the midst of arresting people. Yet you hear the words, "I can't breathe," and it meant nothing to this officer. And he kept screaming and hollering, and people were saying, "Please get off of him," until his life left his body. Eventually, I can't breathe. I can't breathe either. I can't keep living and just acting as if things aren't hasn't changed, or there's nobody that's really taking a stance. Where are the people who influence us the most? Where is the voices of those who can really do something to make sure that not only they lose their jobs, but that they're investigated? I saw the pictures and the affiliation with the MAGMA movement. I saw all of the possibilities and the things that are out there that shows maybe we have some reason to believe that this was racially motivated. I get it. I understand that there's pieces, but do we need those things? Do we in fact need those things when we know that those who have the power to help, to save, to bring about change and to protect and serve us are using the same authorities, the same powers to harm and to hurt us? This is what this conversation is about today. We have a very special guest that's going to come in just a few minutes. And I can't wait to change gears to have this conversation with my sister. But I want us to take a moment in our Live at Lunch to process, to really share, how does this make you feel? For our prayer warriors, it means to pray for the families and those who are still yet going through. We talked about Ahmaud Arbery the other day, and we talked about how does it feel for him. I saw an article where the person videoing was taken in custody. I mean, there's moving in things to keep our voices from getting louder and louder. But then a year later, 6 months later, what happens? The person gets off. The charges were too extreme. There's no way to there's no way to prove that this person could in fact premeditate this. Those are under the law. They have a certain level of protection, that they use certain tactics because they feel like this is the only way to protect them and they can go home to their families. Yet a man is restrained in a way that kills him or is the cause of his death. He doesn't get the chance to go and talk to his family. He doesn't even get a chance to go to prison if he in fact did what you guys are apprehending him for. He doesn't have that opportunity to do or say anything because his life was taken from him. How does that make you feel? What if you got a phone call in the middle of the night that your father was pinned on the ground and social media is talking about it even before you can get answers? What do you do in times like that? How do you process that? What does that make you feel? A 46-year-old man. I'm not 46 yet, but I'm close to it. I can only imagine how much more life this man has. And for those that I don't want to take a theological approach, but for those who believe, well, God knew and God, listen, this ain't the time to insert our religious beliefs, thoughts, and or positioning. When you see these kind of things and you believe that God willed for this man to die like this for a greater purpose, I will sorely disagree with you and say this. He had more life to live. He had more purpose. He's not the only one. So many others had so much more to do with their lives. Freddie Gray. There are so many more. I don't want to name names. I have a whole picture of people. Thank you to my brother Anthony who shared just about all of them who lost in some kind of racially motivated event that then caused them to lose their lives. And here we are today. Thank you so much, Frida Gardner. I appreciate it for you sharing. Pray for the safety and covering of my 43-year-old son and all the time. Thank you. We're covering and we're praying for our young people. Thank you so much. To my brother Mike, thank you. I appreciate it. This is something that we have to bring to awareness. We have to have these conversations. We have to have these dialogues, because at the end of the day, we cannot sit down and believe that Jesus is going to come down and fix everything. Jesus empowered us. He sent his Holy Spirit to empower us to be able to produce change and to move things forward. We have what we need to make this country a better country. And so when do we activate that power? When do we speak truth to life in situations that involve others? Don't wait for it to come home and hit home before you decide when to jump in, when to have something to say. Thank you to my sister Eb who's tuned in. I appreciate it. To my good brother Terrell, thank you. I appreciate you guys. Mike, thank you, Mike, for joining. Thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. And if you're watching and if you're tuned in now, please share this. I just wanted to have a moment of reflection. We just have another few minutes before we transition into my amazing guest for today that I'm very, very excited to speak to Trenace Carter, who's going to come and share. I am so excited. I can't wait to really have this discussion, but I got to have this this moment of uncertainty. I have to really share it with my community. I got to share it with my friends and my family because I don't know if we're going in the right direction. I don't know if we're going in the right direction. And I want to say that all of this could, all of this could be, in fact, a distraction from voting. Some people in Maryland, you got your voter card and you just took it and put it to the side. But let me tell you something. Make it a moment. Make it a moment. Make sure you cast that vote and go to the polls. Do both. Make sure that they know that you are, in fact, voting this year. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I can't tell you who to vote for, but you know who to vote for. You may not be happy, but don't listen. We don't need another repeat. We definitely don't need another repeat of what we've gone through. We have to vote for the person that is in this position, is qualified to lead this country in the right direction. You may not be a political person. You may not turn on CNN and Fox News and learn and figure out what's what. But I tell you, at least you can vote for somebody who has compassion and love for people. People that look like you and I. It's important. We're in a very, very, we're in a season where I just really believe that this season is a season for us to reflect even more so on the things that we do, the things that we say, who we affiliate ourselves with. Everything matters in this season. So I'm charging all of my family, my friends, to don't let this moment go by without doing something significant. Doing something significant to the fact that we have to ensure that there is a greater sense of unity that still has not yet really manifested in my day. And what do I mean by that? I'll say this clearly and just we'll move on, transition. I didn't grow up in the civil rights era. Civil rights era was before my time. I know y'all think I'm that old, but I'm not. I didn't make it there. I was born just after civil rights. But my parents did. Those who raised me did. My grandparents did. And depending on how your family, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your grandma, depending on how the civil rights movement impacted them, it really did have impact on how you were raised and what you were taught. The values that were shared into most of us are all post-civil rights. Now, I can bet when they were going through, they didn't know about social media. They didn't think that one day we would have so much information at the tip of our fingers. That's why our parents used to say, "This is why I don't ask no questions," because sometimes questions could lead you to a whole lot of stuff that needs its own explanation, and it takes away from what's important. So if you were like me growing up, you got what you needed at the moment, and that sufficed for what it needed. And it wasn't that they didn't want to hear from us. It was that if you can learn this lesson, then we can build on it. Well, this society is getting all the information at one time, this era. And so we lose our sense of understanding what voices are the voices that should lead us to help make this world better. Because we have so much time to decipher and to figure out and to organize. God is speaking, but you know what? God is in fact the same God that helped us through the civil rights law. He's the same God. So we got to hear the voice of who God led and the people that he has allowed. Maybe you don't think leadership, but maybe you are the one that God is calling to the front line, so that not only we don't react based on our emotions and how angry we are. That's a real feeling. Acknowledge that. But if it is God ordained that we should do something as a faith community, I truly believe that he would make provision. He will give us what we need so that we can get to the next level. Listen, y'all, I thank y'all so very much for allowing me to share my my thoughts about this gentleman, George Floyd. Please post. Please take a minute. That's all I'm asking, to bring awareness. I wanted to do this on the show first. I will be sharing my thoughts via a post. Y'all know I like to talk a lot, so guess what? It'll be a long post. But at the end of the day, at least we all can agree that our lives matter. Black lives matter. You know, our lives matter. We as people matter beyond what people think. We all have to realize that we got to speak up when the time is right. Thank you for sharing. I see the comments. I will definitely really have a moment to share those comments. But I wanted to make sure that I took the opportunity to give way and to make way for our amazing special guest today. We are right now live on Awesome God Radio's Facebook page. If you go to Facebook, you will see Awesome God Radio there, and our live post is there on Awesome God Radio, the Facebook post. Please take a minute to share there. Some are watching me personally here on my Facebook page, Antoine Jefferson, some on YouTube, and shout out to all those who have been tuning in via Periscope. If you're on Periscope, I need you to just let me know, send me a comment. I'll be able to see it and share it. But I want to help to I'm looking to grow into different communities. So Facebook itself is one, Periscope is another, and YouTube is as itself. So at this moment, I want to take the time to introduce our very special guest for today. I do have a bio here that I'm going to read, just a little bio of her. Make sure y'all do this. Go to her website, www.oneauthenticwoman.com. Trenace Carter is a published author of 5 books. Shines bright like a diamond as the founder and CEO of Authentic Woman. She gives young divas and experienced queen alike the opportunity to enrich their synergy. Her ability to connect with girls, women with love, realness, and a raw transparency is incredible. Trenace grew up on the west side of Chicago, where she was reared by her mother, grandmother, and great grandmother. These 3 generations of women all gave her fierce, ferocious, and bodacious tenacity. I understand that she now currently resides in Houston, Texas. She's the mother of 3 adult children, a grandmother of 3. I love it. Her first book, Wanted Womanhood. I like that. And today we are interviewing her because I understand that she has this new publication. I want to say it's new to me, titled Dear Future Husband. All right, y'all. You heard that? I love it. Dear Future Husband. Without further ado, I want to introduce Trenace Carter. Trenace, I do hear some background on your side. If you have your volume, if you can just bring your volume down as low as you can so that you can hear me, that would work. And that might help mitigate the sound. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm doing so wonderful.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come in and just share with us just a few minutes. I had a tough topic to talk about. I know there are many who are still processing our discussion prior, but I did want to just bring you in and have a discussion with you. Tell me a little bit about what your calling is. It's very evident that you are sure you know from the generations that were passed down to you. Now you're taking that baton and you're doing your best writing and sharing with young women. Share a little bit about your experience.
Well, to be raised by 3 different generations gave me, for me, something different because, what my mother was teaching was one thing, what my grandmother was teaching was something else, and what my great-grandmother was teaching was something else. So all of those 3 things today, for me, that's what womanhood is about. That's definitely what womanhood is about. And I see right now, this current generation, there are a lot of things that I took for granted. The young women don't even have the opportunity to even realize about womanhood. And it's more than stilettos, it's more than lipstick, it's more than a handbag. Being a woman is more than that, because I mean, what's that phrase? You put a lipstick on a pig, is still a pig, right?
That is in fact true. Yeah, so there is so much to learn, and I appreciate that. I know that I'm apparently not a woman. I will never be a woman. And so there are some things to consider that I know only women who are willing to share and willing to guide can help. And so it's just remarkable that you would take, that that you would answer that call to help to enhance and encourage our sisters. So we have a first-time viewer, Austin Taylor. Thank you, Austin, for tuning in. Thank you for those who are first-time. Please come on in, let us know that you're watching, and help to encourage her. I'm going to put these things on the screen so she knows that you guys are tuned in and watching. Share a little bit about so you've written 5 books. So at some point, you've been pushed to start writing. How and what encouraged you to start writing?
Well, it wasn't anything that really encouraged me. I knew in the 3rd grade that I wanted to write and travel. And I knew that I wanted to be a mom. I knew that I wanted to be a wife. So it's my belief that we all know we are born knowing what we're supposed to be. We just make a choice based off of what I call the environment to choose something else. And this is just something I came back to. I have degrees, I have certification, but I even have a regular job. But this is what I love.
Amen. So that's good. So you knew since a young age that this was something that you wanted to do. You focused and you made it happen. Wonderful. That's good. So I'm assuming west side of Chicago is a lot different than where you are today, but the purpose is the same. So in your transitions, do you still see the opportunity to take what it is that you're doing and in the different geographical locations? Does it make it easier for you now in terms of how you are going about showing people what you do?
Well, I will say, thank God for the internet. The internet has been really good to me. 2 weeks ago, it allowed me to do my first-time authors mastermind because people are always asking, how do you write a book? For me, I just sit down and do it. What's in that moment, I just do it. But it's not very easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy. To me, it seems easy, but to others, it's not. When you're a first-time author, it's just like anything. When you were born, you didn't know how to walk.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
You were born, the only thing you knew how to do was actually breathe. And you took step by step by step. You crawled, and then you pulled up, and then you took a couple of steps, and it's the same thing.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that's the key. A lot of us really need that, right? So a lot of us really need that help, that guidance. Even as a man, we need help. And as a young man, you need help. I'm sure that, in all that you're sharing, it's experience, wisdom, and it allows us to look at the community. Like you say, thank God for the internet. The internet gives us a gauge on how we're living and the things that need to be addressed, from bullying to self-esteem issues to, acceptance and being part of things that that have really has been grabbing a hold of our young people. It sounds like you are really helping for them to consider what's more important for them.
Well, a long time ago, I think it's Titus 2, that speaks about how the older women should be teaching younger women how to be women, and the same thing for men. And that didn't mean a whole lot to me when I was younger.
Wow.
But now, as a grown woman, that's so important to me, because I know that I have an influence and I have an understanding that there may be somebody that's watching me. They may not know me, but they may see me on social media. They may see me on TV. They may see me anywhere. And my representation of me. I want that to be of God, and I want other people to see I can do this.
That's right.
I mean, I just can't. I'm not going to say that I haven't had any things that were bad that didn't happen. I'm not going to even say that I didn't make any mistakes, but here I
am. Oh, that is wonderful. I really appreciate you now. So not only are you an author, but you're really devoting your time to helping other authors as well. And so that I think is one of the key things that you're showing that stands out, that now you're taking your time, your experiences, and the things you've done. That process for somebody who hasn't written anything, but maybe has been inspired to write. What are some things that you can share to help encourage them? And then what are some of the steps that they can take to really go about it? Now, we'll say this before you answer that I am right now today in that process. And I'm like 95% done. I think the last part is to really polish it, to make sure that it's the best that I can do at this time. It took a long time to come to this point, but I would love to hear your expertise, because look, you 5 in, right? If not more. And so tell us what is that we can do to be encouraged and to keep it going.
Well, and what I teach is to just start. And for me, it took me forever to finally get that first one, but I created a schedule. So a couple of days out the week, I scheduled this block of time for me to write. And it didn't matter if I had schoolwork, because I was going to school full time. It didn't matter that I was working, because I was working full time, and I had children at home. But they had an understanding that from this time to this time, mommy is writing. Right. So don't bother her. You fight among yourselves. Whatever you're gonna do, you have to dedicate that time for writing. And that's another thing for your personal self. You always have to dedicate some time for you. So for me, that's twofold. You're dedicating time to write, and you're making yourself priority, because you can't pour from an empty vessel.
My goodness. Now that's good wisdom right there. You can't pour from an empty vessel, which means we need as much encouragement. We need as many prayers. We need as much as we can to help people push you along. I want to give a shout out to my wife, Kate Jefferson, who always helps to push me and keep me going, making sure I'm doing my best, even for the writing endeavors. And to another name, Whitney Hogans, who has also been very supportive in the process. The reason why I bring them up is because that village mentality and that village of support is key. And so it really means to take time, right, to bring people around you that will help you to get it done. You know, just making sure that they go forward. I see another amazing author here, Rissa. Thank you, Rissa, for joining in. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. So tell me a little bit about this book. Now, I want to talk about this book because this was the one that was shared to me originally. And I won't tell everybody what I thought immediately. That's an insider of what you and I talked about. I won't tell everybody. It's too embarrassing to share. But what I will say is that I'm glad we got it straight before the interview. And but the title of this book is Dear Future Husband. Dear Future Husband. Oh, my goodness. That title is just screaming what's inside. I need to see what's inside of this thing, and help us, if you can, to give us the backdrop of this novel, and then to share with us how it's been doing even after your release.
So it didn't even start off as a book. It started off as I was seeing somebody, and he had been my crush since I was 10 years old. And he's like, "Oh, I thought you were just too good for me." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." He said, "You were always so smart." So at any rate, we started this dialogue where we were going to see what we can do. And we talked, and he said, "Well, I don't want to be a boyfriend or a man all my life. I always wanted to be a husband." I was like, "That's good, because I always wanted to be a wife." So that was that conversation. And anybody that follows me on social media know that I can talk a lot, but I'm also silly. So I wrote this Dear Future Husband silly post on Facebook, something about I eat cookies in bed or something. And and everybody was laughing. And he posted, I forgot what his comment was, and then people kept commenting, and then I started getting phone calls. Is this your new book? Is this your new book? Is this your new book? And I was like, no, it was just, me playing.
Right.
So I talked to him about it. He say, I think it's a good idea. I say, I think you're just a little bit vain. So hence we have a book, which is different from me because I don't like to share.
Okay.
So I know sharing is a part of marriage. So hence the anthology. So it's not just me inside the book. There are 5 other women who have written their dear future husband letters.
Wonderful. How therapeutic would it be for someone who is not yet married but would like to take the time to write a letter like that? How?
I think that if you are going to be truthful with you, then it's going to be very therapeutic because unfortunately, we have a list. We want them tall. We want them rich. We want them to have a big house. We want them, in things that are tangible, things that we can see. And if you're writing a dear future husband based on just that may be one of the reasons why you're single.
Wow. So there's more to it. I'm gathering there's more to it than just the list of things like 6'1", 220. I mean, that list falls short from what it is that that women, maybe women, and I say women because of what you're sharing, but it goes deeper than that. I'm assuming
it's more than superficial because I know for me, I gotta like you. I have to like you because sometimes I'm not gonna love you in that moment. And for me, my husband got to be somebody that I like, that I don't want him to starve because I'm mad.
Okay. All right. That's cool. I know that's right. So did you put that in the letter?
Yeah. I mean, I want somebody I can watch the basketball game with when it's back on.
Now, see, I know a lot of brothers that'll love that. They'll love to have basketball play the video game with me, watch the games. We can talk about players. They love stuff like that. Yeah.
But the other part is because I'm a creative, I'm kind of on the weird side. So okay. I might be up at 1 o'clock with random thoughts about something. So right. he's gonna have to be a little bit cool with that.
So this is funny. I love it, and it's funny because a lot of times people are processing things like that relationally. They want the person that really can adapt to how they are. I know being married that there's always compromise. So the letter is good. But then how do you hear the response of the letter? How is that then received? Now, listen, y'all, you got to read the book first. Let's just talk about that first, because this conversation we could talk about this for another hour. And I got to go back to work and I don't want to be in trouble. So that's enough topic. But what I want to say is that in this book, Dear Future Husband, it's your heart, along with some other sisters who have shared their hearts through a letter. Right, to their future husband.
Well, now, wait a minute, there's some silliness in there.
Okay, right. It's not just okay. That's good, right?
It's some silly in here. I even talk about I had a dating coach. Like
a dating coach. Now that's fun. Tell me a little bit about. I see this is all new news for me. What's a dating coach like?
So the first time I did the dating coach, I was like halfway in, halfway out. Sometimes I show up, sometimes I didn't. But the second time around, because she charges, I think, $35,000 a year.
Oh wow, that must be a good coach. Look, let me tell you something. I coach basketball, but I ain't never asked for that much. That's good. She must be real good at what she do.
She has been getting people married. Wow. So this other time, the second time around, I was very intentional, and it wasn't just about having a mate. It was just that there were things that I knew that I needed to heal within myself, because I'm not going to be perfect. And it's better to be real than to be perfect.
Right.
I know I have to be real first, because real is authentic. It's nothing better than authentic for me, because I mean, that's what my brand stands for. So when I went through it for real, and I say, oh, I didn't know that about me. I mean, I'm kind of ugly. So, I mentioned that in there. And maybe you don't want to go to a relationship coach. Maybe you go therapy, because I'm doing therapy now. Because, I'm a speaker, I'm an author. There are some things that you don't want to be perfect. You want to be authentic.
Good. That's good. So that's where your word authentic comes in. And
Right.
I don't know about you, but to me, it seems like no matter what the issues are, it always kind of reflects who you are. So, it doesn't matter who you go to. It matters how that person then helps you to see you for who you are. Because a lot of people can really be stuck on not finding the right person because they are who they are, but they don't consider themselves to make any changes to really adjust themselves, not to settle. I think settle is an extreme word. Nobody should really settle. Nobody should have to settle. There's enough people out here. Look, there's enough men and women. Your husband may speak a different language. I don't know. Maybe you need to learn how to speak Spanish, and and maybe your husband is a Spanish speaking person, or But anyway, being your authentic you means you finding out who you are and what you do, and knowing that this is your truth. And we do want people to love us for our authentic selves. And let's keep it real. We do, but we also have to at least give them opportunity to know who they are. Thank you, sister. Okay. She says, you don't want to be perfect. You want to be authentic. That is really good. I love it. You want to be authentic. You want to be real. You want to be transparent. You want to be tangible. Like people can touch, feel, and understand you. You can't live on a planet and think that everybody's supposed to know who you are or what planet you live on. You got to be able to be reachable. That's good. So you have, is this your last publication now?
No, definitely
not. I figured that this was just the one that was shared, which I thought was a great dialogue into really dealing and talking relationships. And everybody wants relationship help or some kind of guidance. I always say it's the humor of God that he puts two people together who have totally different backgrounds, different love languages, different things, and really expect in so many ways for us to make it work. It's tough. And so sometimes we fail at that, and sometimes we find ways to win. So share a little bit about your experience there. Any other publications? You have some trainings coming up. Tell me what's new with you, and we can discuss that.
So on June 13th, I just released it on yesterday. I'm doing another first-time authors mastermind. It's free $99. Wow. You just have to register and invest your time. I'm going to be giving some starting tips. I call it the secret sauce for first-time authors.
Okay. Good stuff. So how can they reach you so that they can register or be a part of this?
So if you go to www.oneauthenticwoman, and that's the number one, not ONE, but the number one, authenticwoman.com. You'll see the picture there, and you'll see once you select there, it'll take you to where you can register with your first name, your last name, your email address, and then they'll shoot you that email address. They'll shoot you an email with a Zoom link, because it will be a Zoom. It won't be me talking. You see me, I see you. We laugh together, but we are very serious. The ladies who have transitioned into writing, I didn't know you were this serious. Really?
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
You have to have, when you know you're going to schedule with me, you have to have your homework done. If you're not going to have it done, don't need to schedule, because I'm serious about what I assign you to do.
Amen. That's good. So if they're going to come, be ready, right? And so that's good, because it'll help push us. And life has a tendency to push us into making other things become more important than us investing in our future or investing in the very things that we have been challenged and charged to do. So I really appreciate that. Listen, this has been a great interview. I got to shout out the one who helped us to come together, my sister Coretta. Thank you Sister Coretta, for joining us. Thank you for connecting us. I have met and have been able to talk and dialogue with some amazing people because of our connection, amazing authors. We just wanted to share your stuff to our community, to our platform, so that maybe someone will want to pick up and read some of your books. One of those books being Dear Future Husband. It's a letter from the heart of some sisters, or if my brothers are tuned in, if they're listening, listen, this is for me too. I see my wife, she has put here tough. Yeah, it is tough. Yep, babe, it's tough. We know it's tough to take two people and bring them together. And God is saying, yeah, y'all got to work it. It's not easy. But we all can use the encouragement. It doesn't matter where you are. I've had some happy relationships. I've had some failed relationships. We have all been in some positions where we could use the help and encouragement. So with that, this will, I assume, or, as we are reading it, it will help us to really hear your heart and then consider some things. So that's good. And we'll continue to promote it there. How can people reach you now? Again, I know you said oneauthenticwoman.com. How do you have any social media handles or anything?
I'm all over social media, but I'm easy to find because I'm One Authentic Woman on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm Authentic Woman on Instagram. I'm One Authentic Woman on Facebook. Also, I use my name on Facebook, Trenace K. Carter. You want to get some real good laughs? Check me out there, because that's me for real.
Trenace K. Carter. Okay, awesome. So thank you. I really appreciate your time. I pray that you would take some time to come back, check in on us, let us know if you have any new things happening. We'll be sure to share them right here on our platforms. All right. So, Trenace Carter is joining us here today. Thank you. We will talk to you soon. You have a blessed day.
You too. Be safe.
Take care. Oh, man, what a great interview. I really enjoyed talking to Trenace about her books, her publications. Earlier, if you missed it, if you're just joining us, you're just tuning in, had a dialogue about George Floyd, who was recently shown that where the police officer had his knee in his neck and arresting him in a very lethal position where he later died in the hospital. He was saying, I can't breathe. And then we transitioned to this amazing interview with my sister, who is the author of 5 different publications, one of which we discussed today, Dear Future Husband. I really believe that this is also a good time. And, sometimes you would think, how do these worlds come together? How can we have one extreme conversation and then talk about things when it deals with a husband or anything relational? Let me tell you how. Because one of the commandments that God left us, Jesus did, he left us a commandment that talked about loving the Lord and loving each other as as Christ loves the church, as Christ loves us. We have to love each other. The commandments that Jesus left were both relational as it relates to him, but it also dealt with how we see each other. I really believe, and this is my reflection, and even from the things personally that I'm going through, that sometimes we have breakdowns in terms of what we do to salvage relationships, what we do to help build relationships with each other. This is not a power to the people conversation. They talk about you, your children, your spouse, relational from your friends and family. This is a message, a self-reflective message to how are you managing your relationships? Are you listening to the letters that my sisters are writing? Are you reading what they have to share? Are you taking in consideration some of the things that can help to better your relationship with God and with others? I think that they all have something to do with each other, because if we are really not managing our relationships well, there's a tendency in that we are not effectively being who we should be. It's in relationships that you learn a lot about yourself. It's what people share that helps to give you an opportunity to reflect on some things that you can do better. Now, I know it's hard. It's tough. Nobody wants to hear things that are going to challenge us to change. But when you're in a relationship or you're trying to establish, maintain, maintenance a relationship, all of them mean that you have to consider change. And so even in the change of how we are seeing Black men and women, not just Black men, but we can't forget about the sister who was in a house and a cop and mistakenly went into a house and killed her right in her own home. I mean, you have to really understand that all of these things have come about because the lack of the seriousness of relationships, failed relationships. That if I see you, I only see your color. I don't see you as a human being. So I therefore forfeit the opportunity to have a relationship with you. I don't believe that's what God is calling us to do. As a matter of fact, I don't believe that God is in any way a part of people, seeing people through color, race, ethnicities, that God sees us for who we are as human beings, his children, that he so loved that he gave his only begotten. Bible says that he loved the world. I know we want to say only the Christians, only the people who come to church. No, he said, I loved the world, the good, the bad, the ugly. That I sent my son. And so if we have that kind of relationship put together, not through the lens of supremacy, classism, and or in any right that puts you or I above or beneath anybody, but simply because we are part of his world. Bible says that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So let's come together. Let's continue. I know that my time is spent and I appreciate it so much that you guys would join and listen in and tune in. I see my good friend Bob O has joined us. Yes, sir. 44 is greater than 45. Now, y'all know what that entails and what it means. But you get it. But thank you, Trenace, for joining such powerful sister of wisdom who's sharing and imparting into our younger sisters, also writing her journey and helping to progress the very good things that God has called her to do. And so we're proud of it. Listen, this concludes our live at lunch today. Come back maybe next Wednesday or even before, if God allows me to share. I'm looking forward to interviewing a couple of our local artists and people who are here. I know there's a couple of authors that are in my circle that I will be reaching out to you soon, but I want us to have dialogue. I want us to continue to talk and inspire others who really want to be a part of this amazing platform here at Awesome God Radio. I'm excited and I pray that you are with me. This is AJ. Thank you so much. I can be reached at Facebook and Antoine Jefferson. If you want to hit me on Instagram and Twitter, make sure you hit me. It's AJ AG Radio, AJ AG Radio for Awesome God Radio, AJ AG Radio, both there on YouTube. Make sure y'all follow me on YouTube. I need y'all support on YouTube, and I need you to help share my YouTube page at Antoine Jefferson, ANTOINE. Thank you so much for those who tuned in. I see that you guys came in great numbers. I appreciate you. I love you. And until next time, live at lunch right here with AJ. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.